Theodore Roosevelt once said, "The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who knows the great enthusiasms, the great devotions, and spends himself in a worthy cause, who at best, if he wins, knows the thrills of high achievement, and if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who know neither victory nor defeat."
All right. Now we're live. Welcome back. Day Before Rehab Podcast, Family Edition.
I like.
So I got my daughter, Gia, right? First time ever on the podcast. My beautiful sister. She was on before. That was a fucking mission to get that one done.
Oh, boy.
With all the camera.
And it kept stopping.
Oh, yeah, that's annoying.
I know. Full disclosure, like I said before we got messed up, last night my wife and I went out to dinner to celebrate 364 days of sobriety, and I was a straight motherfucker at dinner and ruined the dinner. No surprise there.
Don't even know what the fight was about.
No. But hey, at least the fight wasn't horrible. There was no mean words, no curses. I was just a motherfucker and being a baby. Could have been way worse.
Yeah, could have.
Yeah. So let me read. Megan sent me this text last night. This is good. You guys will get a kick out of this. It's
Like one of those memes.
It's a meme. It says, "Beefing with your spouse is the absolute worst. Like, bro, you're literally my only friend. Stop pissing me off." And I have really no friends, so. But I wanted to do this with my family. Obviously, this is a big day. I went to a meeting this morning, and I was thinking, this time last year, I woke up on your couch. Literally this day.
Oh, shit.
October 27th, on your couch. Checked into rehab that day. Woke up, wasn't sober. Got more banged up on the way to treatment. Drove 2 hours to Reading. And today was the last day I've ever gotten high in my whole life.
It's crazy a year ago.
I know.
crazy.
It went
Does it feel like
fast.
yesterday?
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah.
It went so fast.
I went to a meeting yesterday, and the girl's like, you're going to have a year sober on Saturday? And I'm like, yeah. She's like, it seems fast. I'm like, I count by twos.
Probably had her so lost in the sauce.
I know she knows that I'm serious, but I'm like, but it's a big day. My daughter's on the podcast, and, the previous 2 times I went to treatment, I think I conned you into thinking I wasn't in rehab. I don't think you knew back then.
I'll never forget the first time.
Closer to your face.
The first time was when you lived at Pop-Up's house.
Closer. Like that.
And how far am I? I feel like I can hear me.
Dude, chew your gum in it. I don't know.
Don't do that. Don't do that. This has got to stay close.
So, you can't hear the gum.
Yeah.
The first time was when he lived at Pop-Up's house, and he told me he was going on a work trip for a month.
No.
Yes, I was.
I had an apartment in Port Richmond the first time I went.
Oh, maybe you didn't live there. But I remember you took me into Lena's old room, and that's when you, sat me down and told me, and I, cried.
You know who taught him how to do business trips? Pop-Up.
Wow. You guys are crazy.
Yeah, but you didn't know I was going to rehab.
No, but you told me that last year.
later, yeah.
Yeah, you told me that last year that was a lie.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but it was just something I never forgot because I was like, oh my God, my dad's going on a business trip.
Yeah, business trip. But I always, the first time I went to rehab for 9 days. I left after 9 days because I was starting school. And then the second time was 7 years ago. Was our first or second year together?
Yeah, I think maybe a little into after our first year, for sure.
Yeah. And I lied to you again. I
don't remember this though.
Really?
I thought you were going all the way
said you were going
longer,
to
but you said
Florida.
you were only 2 weeks.
Both times were either 10 days or less.
I got his windows tinted for him. I was like, he went to rehab. I'll pull up in his truck with his windows tinted.
Fucking loser.
So bad. I look back and I'm like, what was I thinking?
Such a loser.
I was like giving him a present for going to rehab for drugs.
Yeah.
Happy 10 days.
Yeah, so
You really did it.
when I went to rehab while I was with Megan the first time, that morning I didn't go to work. I already had a plan. Because there was a hurricane in Florida and wiped out all Marathon. right where Pop-Up's trailer was.
Yep.
So I just told my boss, like, I got to go to Florida. My uncles were going to help rebuild my grandpa's trailer. Blah, blah, blah.
Great excuse.
So that morning I woke up and you were, I don't know if you were working first thing, but you weren't at the apartment. So I drove over to Camden. I had like $80 to my name, 80 or 90. Got 8 or 9 perk 10s. Just one shot, chewed them up. I'm like,
Oh my God.
and then I by the time I get back to my apartment, all the guys that don't work that would sit on the stoop and drink and smoke 40 blunts all day were just out there. And I'm like high as a kite. Like, you don't need to go to rehab, man. I'm like, that's the fuck I do. I end up like
No
you.
idea.
Yeah. Yeah. It was crazy. But when I went the last time, I told you the truth.
Yes.
So what was that like for you? Because you didn't know. I mean, you heard what Michelle would say, but you never heard anything from me, I don't think, about.
Yeah. That was when we got into that big fight at Three Monkeys.
Oh, that was bad.
Yeah, because I called you a bad dad.
Yeah, you did. You're a bad daughter. But go ahead.
Okay. Well, I was a kid. But I remember that was when I didn't have a car and you kicked me out of Three Monkeys.
No,
And that's,
you walked out of Three Monkeys.
No, you made us leave. And you were like, oh, like.
Because I stayed and finished my food.
Because you at first you were
fat
going to
ass.
leave with me. You were
Yeah.
like, I'm going to take you home, blah, blah, blah. And then we walked to the car and you were like, I'm going to eat my dinner. I'm going to eat my breakfast. I'm going to eat my breakfast.
Yeah.
So I sat in the car and I was like, why am I sitting here waiting for him? I'm going to walk home. So I got out and I started walking home. Called my mom in front of Holy Family because I didn't want you to leave Three Monkeys and like drive past me. Mm-hmm. So I called my mom. I was like, pick me up. I'm at Holy Family. And then Ed came and picked me up. And remember I blocked your number. And that was when I had just finished esthetician school. So I was looking for jobs. And then you turned my phone off. So my mom called you and was like, turn her phone back on. She needs a job. Mm-hmm. And then we didn't talk for like 3 weeks, like at all, no contact. I remember out of nowhere, you called me and that's when you were like, yo, I'm going to rehab. And it was so crazy to me because I remember during those 3 weeks, I was like, yeah, that's it. I'm done. I'm never talking to my dad again. Like I was so hell-bent on it.
This was the very last time you went?
Yeah, it was last year. This was this month last year.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I remember getting that phone call that you and Jane got into a fight.
Yeah, that was the worst fight I think we've ever been into.
Yeah. And like, yeah, I remember I just was like, when you called me, I was so stunned. Like, I just always had this idea, like, oh, my dad just sucks. Like, that's just how he is. And like, I always knew that you had an issue with drugs and alcohol, but I never knew it was like, you still had that problem and like that you were doing like, I never knew that.
Yeah.
I always thought that it was like silly little stuff. I don't know.
Like weekend warrior type stuff?
I guess. I just remember the first time I ever found out you were on drugs was when Michelle like was mad at you. And
Yeah.
I think I had to have been a little.
Michelle is my sister and my quote unquote sober stepmother, but go ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Your stepmom.
I think I was like 12. I think I still lived with Mimi. And she was mad at you and she was like, yeah, gee, that's why your dad's on drugs. Your dad's a drug addict. He takes pills. And I was like,
Takes one to know one.
I know.
Story.
Yeah, for real.
And I was like, what? And I went to you. I don't know if you remember that, but I was so upset about that. And I said something to Natalie about it. And she was like, Gia, that's not true. Which, like, she has to defend you. She can't tell me I was little. I was a kid.
Yeah.
But
I mean, there's also a time and a place when you.
Oh, yeah,
you know,
I shouldn't
sit your
have done
kids
that.
down and tell them like, hey, you know, so and so has a
Yeah.
problem.
Yeah, she was as malicious as one could be in life.
yeah.
To say the least.
Yeah.
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 That's wild. I still can't believe it's been a year.
I know, it's crazy.
So many ups and downs for you this year too.
Especially the past month.
Yeah.
The past month has been the hardest month, since Dad passed away. It was brutal. I wrote this down in my journal and I was talking to my therapist and Megan about it. Like, if you go back 2 Sundays ago, I woke up, went to the gym. We knew we were putting Barkley down the next day. Then Megan calls me and says, I need more time. So like you wake up, we were already so severely sad and depressed about what we were doing or about to do. Then she wants to postpone it. And you read what I wrote, but it was like, it wasn't a question. It was like, we're postponing it. And, prior to that, 2 weeks, prior to that, I had a couple job interviews and I got offered a job that I never expected I would get offered. So, and I say that because you wake up Sunday, you're sad, and nothing feels right. And then we postpone it. And then Monday, I was supposed to have a meeting with HR about the new job offer. The lady was in the hurricane. She got relocated. So that got pushed to Tuesday. So you go from sad to excited to anxious to nervous. Then they offer me the job. And the package, the salary compensation was something I didn't anticipate it. So then you're happy, right? And then the next day your boss comes to your job and you got to quit, right? Now I'm scared, I'm nervous. And he was pissed off at me for quitting. And then the next day we put Barkley down. And then the next day after that, you feel this immense regret in your decision. Like, you should not have done this. You fucked up. And then you have a wife who, if her eyes are open, she's upset. And and I talked to my therapist about it the other day. And I'm like, I can cry at a moment's notice about Dad.
Yeah.
And the pain I felt with Barkley was as bad as when my dad died.
Isn't that so weird though?
Yeah, and I'm not saying they're the same.
But it's the pain. The pain felt the same.
Oh my God, it was so brutal. And, even way harder for Megan. You know what I mean?
Well, I said to you, and I said the same thing to Megan. With Barkley, it was Megan's dog.
Yeah, it was.
It was your dog, it was different when you came in and Bubba was already there. You gained Bubba, and it was sad when Bubba was sick and he had to go. But Barkley was yours. You put all of your time and effort into Barkley, and Anthony gained Barkley through you.
Yeah.
So it was it was much different. And I mean, I know he was I know you were devastated,
Yeah.
and him seeing you like that was just terrible.
And that's the reason why I wanted to describe that week, because I'm sober. I'm an active member in AA. I talked about it. I shared about it. And the highs and lows of that week were so condensed. You know what I mean? That should have been spread out over months but all those things happened in such a tight time frame. And, because of sobriety, the program and the foundation, I was able to get through it. Obviously, it's a family effort, but these are things that I never could get through. Extreme highs, extreme lows, and we're still not through it just yet. I mean,
I know, it was that one Friday we were talking, and we were talking about, I don't even know what it was after work, obviously about Barkley, and then you were like, well, I got to tell you something.
Yeah, I kept
and
the
I'm
interviews from Megan.
Literally, I was like,
Your heart probably sank.
I literally was
what
like,
the fuck do you want to tell me?
what now? And he was like, well, I might be taking a job, and I've had a couple interviews. And I'm like, what? Honestly, just didn't even have the energy to even, I'm like, are you kidding me right now? And then it was whatever I was saying was pissing him off. And then we got in a fight because I didn't, I guess, respond the way he wanted to respond. I'm like, I'm sitting here crying about a dog. And then I'm like, now you're telling me about a job interview. And I'm like, what? I remember actually taking Barkley for a walk and just walking and being like, what planet does he live on that he even thought, he's like, well, there was no perfect time. There's no whatever. And I'm like, well, that time was definitely not the best time. Well, and regardless of what I would say with the whole job and whether or not thought it was a good idea or a bad idea, it just, the timing wasn't great. The whole, not on your part, just in general.
Well, the whole experience was tough because I only took the job interviews because this recruiter, come on, Frank.
Frankie, come here, baby.
I only took the job interviews because this recruiter kept telling me they really want to talk to you, right? So I didn't know at the time of the first interview or the second one that we were about to experience what we experienced. So in my head, I'm like, I'm not going to tell Megan about the interviews until they give me the offer. Yeah. And then when I get the offer...
And then I'll deal with my wife later.
Well, in my head, I was like, I'm not going to accept the job unless the offer was crazy. So I was thinking the whole time, this motherfucker.
Hey, come on. You played ball. I took you for a long walk. You just ripped apart the bed upstairs. Just lay down.
Fuck you. But my point being, I didn't even know I was going to take the job until I knew we were putting Barkley down. So at what point do you tell? They were supposed to call me Monday at 5:00, the same time we were supposed to put Barkley down. So
Shit.
I didn't know what to do.
Right.
That's why I told her.
What if my phone rings and all this?
Well, that's what I said. I'm like, it was just everything just wasn't, a good time anyway.
No, it was tough. It was tough. It was tough.
Well, I have a question for you. Since, this is your thing. But switching gears, it's been a year for you. And I know this is like a legit year. You've actually put in a lot of work to get to where you are. But they say that there's a point in the beginning of your recovery where something happens and you just know, like, this is it. Like, I have to stop. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna stop. Like, I know there was something that happened for me, and it was very early on. Like, maybe within the first month of recovery, I was like, I knew that this was gonna be different. When did you know that it was gonna be different for you?
Well, when Meg called me the last time and threw me out, I remember going down the shore and thinking that I'm just gonna run this fucking thing out until it explodes. And I'm thinking, like, I'm just gonna do all the drugs. I don't give a fuck what happens. I'll just live down here. I'll drive back and forth to work, and we'll see. I actively thought, like, let's see how bad this can get before it's over. And then I sent that group text out. Well, like even back it up. Like I'm sitting in my job trailer like a week before Megan catches me. Like, I don't want to commit suicide, but I don't want to fucking live the way I'm living. You know what I mean? And like, I've never had these crazy thoughts before. So she catches me, and I send that message out to the us and her family. Like, your fucking daughter is abandoning me. And
it's her fault. I'm fucked up.
Can you believe she's leaving me in my darkest moments? And like, now, mind you, now we can look back and say, you selfish piece of shit. But within 5 minutes, you texted me, I think it's time to go away. And I'm like, in that moment, I literally was on my knees in my bathroom in the shore house that I worked so hard to get, looking in the mirror like, what are you fucking doing? Like, you're going to lose your job. You're going to lose your wife. And I can hear Dad, like, you're going to lose that girl. You're going to lose that job. And I never felt so empty in my entire fucking life. All the relapses before, even the 2 treatments, like, I never knew that I never thought to myself, like, I'm never going to do drugs again. I just needed to, like, feel better. Yeah. You know what I mean? And like, but in that moment, I never felt so low in my entire life. Like, and like, they talk about the spiritual awakening and shit. And then I heard another guy talk about the gift of desperation. When that moment, the gift of desperation in my mind was this spiritual awakening. Like, dude, you got to get some help. And, it just, at that point, everything changed for me. Everything changed. It just was, I never felt so low as a human being in my entire life.
You do, man. It's such a shitty feeling too. Yeah. And I mean, even with all the years that I have, like I remember just feeling so defeated in life. And I was 21 years old. I'm like, how the fuck
That's
do
insane.
I feel like this at 21? It was like, what do you do? There's nothing else to do but to get sober. There's really like there's no other way to go. It's either you die or you get sober.
Well, and I always talk about, like, I'm the death of a thousand cuts type of guy. Like, I wasn't gonna in my head. I thought to myself, I'm not gonna overdose. I'm just gonna fucking die slowly and slowly and slowly. I'll lose my wife, then my job, and then, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't gonna be like all of a sudden you fall off a cliff. At least this is what I would tell myself. But you know what I would think too? When Dad got sober, we were motherfuckers.
Oh, yeah.
Like, can you imagine, like, his first and second year of sobriety? Like, we were maniacs.
Yeah.
And like, I never once put that in perspective. Like,
but I feel like he tuned it out though. Dad tuned it out, and he did what he had to do regardless of what we were doing. He knew.
It's like his personality was just like that.
Yeah, he was just like,
he had to.
What do you think? Because my dad was just like,
he was
nothing. He was like
born.
unfazed about all things.
Yeah, because even with the person that he lived with, like, who was also like constantly relapsing.
Oh, crazy!
Every couple of years.
Yeah,
like,
and her relapses were bad.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Remember the Easter relapse where she thought she was God?
Oh my God! And she was calling Matt. Matt was Jesus, and Lena was Mary Magdalene. She was on some shit.
Yeah, dude. Because she would mix all the shit, like all the drugstore stuff with, and she would just drink bottles and bottles of vodka.
Wild. Yeah. But yeah, I just think that was the type of person that Papa was that, like, if it wasn't him, like it wasn't phasing him.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, like he's seen it all. So there was nothing to him that he hasn't seen already.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
But I think, you know, obviously my marriage has changed this year, but I think our relationship has changed. You said something to me a few months ago about your road rage. And I try to I don't get road rage.
I do.
It blows my mind when someone cuts him off and he's just like, oh, that sucks.
So she's like, who are you? You know what I mean? It's just like, I mean, obviously a lot of things have happened for us, but I think our relationship, you know, is one of the biggest changes in my life. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Which
I agree.
You know, you're hard to deal with, so being sober is great.
Okay.
So you definitely, it's nice to see how much it's grown, you know, considering you were so young when Gia was born and, you know, like you guys kind of grew up together.
Yeah, I was just about to be 21 when Gia was born.
Yeah.
And like we talked.
Your age, which is like wild.
Yeah, that's what puts it into perspective for me. That makes me a lot of things you did when I was a kid like still hurts, and I tried to let it go. But like, what helps me forgive you is the fact that like if I had a 2-year-old right now, I would treat that kid terribly. Like I know I wouldn't be able to be a good mom. I wouldn't be the best mom I could be because I couldn't take care of it.
It's hard. And I purposely had a child at
23. That's crazy. God, that's crazy.
Yeah. Like even that hurts, like, because if I'm being honest, I know I did some horrible things. It's more like my words were just cut with a fucking knife, but you know, and you can't do and say things that hurt people and think that doing things that are good erase the things that you did that were bad.
Yeah.
And like before I got sober, that's how I would think in my head. Yeah, but I did X, Y, and Z, dude. Like, what's your problem? So now I can understand, like, everyone goes through life differently, and the way I feel that I affected you is different than how you feel I affected you. And I think that's what I've learned in the past year. You know what I mean? And it goes both ways. It's like everything else, but you are the kid. And, you know, I asked you guys, my wife and my daughter, like I said, I think we had breakfast at Dining Car when I got out of treatment, right?
I think so.
Yeah. And, you know, what our dad did for us, I asked them if they would let me do it for them. And, you know, it's been a good year.
I still remember everything.
Oh, yeah. I need 8 years sober. Like,
you need more than that.
No.
No,
Well,
just-
if I can have 8 years sober, that means I've been sober longer than I wasn't with Megan. So like, you know, at that point, and I heard
Keeping
somebody
tabs.
Yeah, the guy Big Joe I had on the podcast, he said the same thing to his wife. After he had more time sober than not, he would say like you can't say that shit no more. I've been sober longer than I have been.
Dude, you guys are like the Michelle and Bruno. Like she's like dad, like a saint putting up with your shit.
I'm not Michelle.
Well, no, not in that way. I meant like the
I-
constant relapses, not like the
That's so
actual
funny.
person. She sucks.
She sucks.
But, you know, I think like, you know, I knew once Megan didn't leave me at the treatment that I would be able to repair my marriage, but our relationship was different. Like like I'm always going to be your dad and you're always going to be my daughter, but that doesn't mean you have to like me or let me in your life.
Yeah.
You know,
I think Meg was like seconds away from being done.
yeah,
with
she
you.
was close.
Definitely.
Literally, like you could have sneezed the wrong way, and she would have been like, "That's it, I'm done."
Listen, when you wanted to come back home, I was like, oh my God.
Dude, I remember like being on the phone with Meg, and she's like, "I can't fucking do it," and I'm like, "You know, Meg, I love you with all my heart, and he's my brother, but get it."
I even fucked up the first day out of treatment. I fucked up.
Oh God.
Yeah, you did.
So, and I think I'm doing the right thing. The guy from treatment needed a ride to the airport, and she wanted me to stay X amount of hours on my last day, like, because that's what she wanted. But rehab people said, yeah, if you want to leave in the morning and take Pete to the airport, like.
Of course, it's like just his typical, like, it's just your typical behavior.
But I felt like I didn't do anything wrong, right? Because they said I could leave, so I wasn't breaking any rules. I take Pete to the airport. I drive to your house. I run 7 miles. She calls me while I'm on Academy Road, like, "Are you home?" And I'm like, "Fuck."
Because
Spotify.
So since we're connected to Spotify came up and it was like whatever song, I don't know what it was on my phone, and I'm laying in bed and I saw Spotify and I'm like, no way. And I called him, I said, "Where are you?"
That's wild. I didn't even
Yeah.
thought if I could do that. Thanks for letting me know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, where are you? And he was like, I'm running. I'm like, where? Because I knew whatever time it was, like, it just, like, I don't even know. I can't remember exactly, but whatever the timing was at the time of, like, him running and whatever, I don't know where I put two and two together.
And you were
he
like,
was-
you left earlier.
Yeah, he said, I went to my sister's house, and I was like, I was so mad. I said, you can sleep at your sister's house.
Yeah, she was pissed. She was pissed.
Rightfully so.
Just because I just thought it was like another lie. Like,
Yeah.
you told me you were staying, you were going to run the mountain the last time, and whatever the timing of like what I saw to that, like, it just wasn't linking up. And
That's
I just
gotta be hard for you. Like, I mean, the amount of lies like that have come over the last few years. Like, it's so hard to believe what this person is now saying.
Yeah.
Like, you want to, and you're like, well, wait, like, and it just triggers like, oh man, is this a lie or is this the truth? What's
yeah, there
the
was
line?
a time when, 2 years ago, when me and him were going through our issues, and we had went downtown, went out to eat, and he came home here, and I was like, oh, do you want Starbucks? He was like, nah, I'm just gonna stay here. I'm like, you sure? I'm like, you always want to go for a ride, right? I'm like, we'll get to Starbucks. I'm gonna get myself a cookie, whatever, and just come. He was like, nah, I'm just gonna stay here. I want to watch whatever. I'm like, okay. Thought it was weird. I'm like, strange. So, I always take Frankie everywhere. I'm like, all right, I'll just take Frankie. Me and Frankie will go get my coffee. And I don't know what made me do it, but I went around the block, but I went around Tulip Street. Instead of making a right out here to go, I looped around, and was going slow. And as I'm pulling around Tulip Street, he was I watched him get in his car, and he was going, whatever. So I don't know if he saw right away that I was behind him. And I was like, oh, where are you going? He's going, I'm getting gas. I said, you're getting gas at 2:00 for what? It worked. I don't feel like getting it the next, whatever you had said. I'm like, oh, okay, that's weird. I don't even know what the conversation was, but it was like slowly trying to let him back in, right? But still not trusting him. And then being like, I'm right. I'm always right. Like, when you have a gut feeling about something, trust your gut. I mean, I don't know if you were maybe going to get stuff, maybe.
That was.
I didn't know he was, obviously doing shit still,
Right.
but, now obviously knowing that he was going to get shit.
But that's like,
Which was kind of like, my point was like kind of how I felt, like him lying, getting out of rehab. I'm like, of course, back to his bad, behavior. He said he was going to do this, this, and that, and he's not doing it. Like, I just, it's a perfect example.
what has the past year looked like for you with us?
I don't know. I definitely feel more comfortable like opening you into my life. Because I feel like before last year, like I wouldn't tell you personal things about me, and if I did, I would immediately regret it. Because I'd be like, damn, he's gonna hold that over my head. Like I don't want him to know anything about me. But I feel like you're an extension of Pop Up now. Like that's how I view you. That like the excitement I would feel, oh, I'm gonna tell my dad about this, like it's how I used to feel like telling Pop Up about stuff. So
That's awesome.
yeah.
That's a nice thing to say.
Yeah, that's so awesome. I mean, you got to think like, how old were you when you got to that point with Dad? Couldn't have been much younger than her.
It's tough to put it in words with Dad.
I mean, yeah, because we never are. We always looked at him the same. Like he could do no wrong.
And we were so young. Like I really just wanted the fucking car. You know what I mean? I wanted the car. You know what I mean? Give me $20 in the car.
I don't give a shit what you're doing.
You know what I mean? But that's the nicest thing you probably ever said to me.
Yeah, that
though.
was really nice.
Oh wow, thanks.
Yeah.
That.
Just thought of that off the dome.
Now I don't feel so bad about signing my life away for you last week.
Oh
That
my
bougie
god.
ass car.
I asked for a used car. It was them two that wanted to get me a lease.
Well, it was the smartest. I mean,
Yeah.
and I'm not one to like ever have a bill, and I just want to pay things off and be done. But it just made more sense. Like, why are you spending all this money on a car that's going to cost you the same payment? You could have a brand new car, and they take care of everything.
And not for nothing, her
just made
21 is different than our 21.
Yeah, it just made more sense.
Yeah, that's awesome though. It's good shit.
Yeah.
I like it.
I'll probably just buy it in 3 years.
we'll see.
That's what my mom's leasing. My mom leases
Yeah.
her Jeep, and she'll buy it out when she's done.
Yeah.
And like, I thought about the boys a lot. You miss stuff or you're there and you're not present. And this year's been tough, like, because I want to be more of a part of D'Angelo and Vinny's life, but I've been so like committed to my routine with the program. So it's like, but my connection with your sons like is a big deal for me.
And it's a good
love
one.
Yeah, I love those boys.
They love you, especially Vinny.
Yeah, that's my man.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I think I never held it against you, you know, when I needed help with any, you know, just like the other day when I was like, dude, I need a huge favor. You know, I can drop Vinny off. Can you please pick him up? And you were like, yeah, absolutely. You know, just the little stuff. And it means a lot.
Yeah.
You might not be as present as you want to be, but you're there when I need you to be.
Yeah, no, our whole family's closer. Like,
Yeah, it's good stuff.
You know, I always talk about Renee in the meetings. Like, you know, I was not nice to Renee for years on end. And, you know, we have our ups and downs, but fucking so much better now than it was.
Yeah, you were such a
Motherfucker.
You really were.
Yeah. She's tough to deal with, though. Sorry, I'll take it back. I would edit that out.
See that's the little stuff you do that's annoying. Like
Yes.
just that right there was what makes you a motherfucker. It takes away all the good because that little you still gotta poke.
Snuck it in there.
Well,
You know,
yeah,
like
it's progress, not perfection.
You got to take them jabs.
Yeah.
And speaking of Renee, I just was telling Anthony the other day, yeah, not to be all sappy, but I lately have felt more alone than I've ever felt in my life. You know, like I have you guys, my mom's far, dad's not there. I have like one close friend and, you know, she has her own life, so we're not always together and talking. But I've never felt so alone. And having your family that took me under their wing and just made me a part of everything has been so great over the years. Like just Laura inviting me to the birthday party. Like I couldn't go, but it was just like having that.
Yeah, the little
little
things.
things. And it just being a part of a family feels so good because I feel like I have no family.
We don't.
No family.
So we talked about that before. Like we don't have a family.
We don't.
You know, unfortunately, my dad's side, I don't know where the separation started with that. They're all great people, but we're just not part of their inner circle. And, you know, we have our Uncle Mo. You know
Yeah, but
what I
we're
mean?
still like, like we'll be invited to like some big things, but we don't have a family. Like it's so weird. You know, like of course, if I'm having a get together, I'm inviting, you know, Uncle Mo and Aunt Ange and stuff. Like they're obviously always going to be a part of it. But
yeah, you're closest.
yeah, like they're the closest ones out of both sides of the family is them and Mike and Nicole. That's like, but when it comes to like a family, like that inner circle, we don't have it.
Yeah, it's me, you, G, and the boys as far as Galates.
Yeah.
And then it's my wife's family who, like you said, I'm equally a part of their family as.
But I feel like that happens with families anyway. Like wherever like a disconnect, like I'd say with my dad's family. Like he had two sisters. My one aunt passed. So I don't know when I'll ever see my cousins. My cousin Dean, Cole, my cousin Jake has 2 kids, which I'll probably never see again in a lifetime unless we throw some random party. It's kind of like the same. It's everyone kind of like somehow the disconnect. Like my Aunt Kathy was like the connect.
Yeah.
To like Thanksgiving. She always had Thanksgiving to that side of the family. And then same thing with my mom's side. It's the same thing. Christmas was the only time that I would see like my cousins mostly, and then obviously Easter. But then, you know, they go away. So it's like then it goes like a whole almost year until I see them too. It's like just I don't know. Everyone goes on, I don't know, different.
I mean, like in that sense, yeah, but like your mom and dad are still there, so like,
Oh
you still
yeah,
have
you
like
mean like
that,
you're
like you
Agree.
still have that inner. So you got your mom, your dad, your brothers, your sister.
Yeah.
You still have that inner circle, and for us, it's literally just us. And like I'm home, like when I'm home, it's the weirdest thing. You know, I love my kids to death, but like it's just us. Yeah. It's just me and my kids, you know, and like they're teenagers and they're doing their own thing, and I'm in my basement watching TV, and I'm like, wow, I'm really fucking by myself here.
Well, you know, and we talked before. You feel it a little bit too at home with
Yeah, you got 2 little ones.
your
Like you
brother
can't
and
close
sister.
with them.
Because you said to me before, like, it's your family, but sometimes you feel a little disconnection from your own family.
Yeah,
your own
because I
house.
feel like I love my mom. My mom is my best friend in the entire world. And they have the perfect American family. Like it's a mom and dad and a boy and a girl. And then it sometimes just feels like, oh, there's that girl that lives upstairs.
There's such a, you know, it is such a big age gap.
Yeah, that's the biggest problem. I would die for my brother and sister. There's no one I love more on this world than my brother and sister. And it's more so like, because they do things as a family, but it's like, they do like little kid stuff because they have kids. And that's why it's like, they'll say to me, "Oh, well, Gia, you don't want to come. You don't want to come to this and that." And it's
like, I don't
well,
want to go to Chuck E. Cheese.
That's what I mean. Like, I don't want to go to Bounce You. And like, that's where the big, and they have friends that also have young kids. So like Sarah Quirk, my mom's best friend, has a daughter that has the same age as Cece, same birth month, everything. They're best friends. So it's like, you guys are hanging out because you have kids in the same age group. I don't fit in there. Like and
that makes sense.
And when me and mommy had you, like nobody else had kids.
Yeah, except for like Maggie, but like of course she had a boy. So like I'm not friends with JP or anything. So it's like no one else had a kid that was my age. So like
so you kind of grew up with all adults. You were like,
that's what I mean. Yeah, like I lived with my grandparents for 11 years, and then when we moved out, it was just me, my mom, and Ed. Ed worked nights, so it was like I love my house, I love my family, but I feel like they are a family, and I feel like I'm just the addition sometimes.
I get that. I could totally get that.
Yeah, but you were there first.
I was there first.
I see you're the main squeeze.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think mommy thinks that.
Well,
I think
grew up with your mom.
You might
too,
feel
though.
different when you when they get older, and because I feel like the age gap. It was kind of like 9 years with Seamus. Like I even think it's even nice that you even like your siblings. Like I feel like I liked Seamus, and then he got to a certain age, and it was kind of like he probably felt a little similar to kind of how you feel. Like we didn't bother with him,
right?
Because it's like we were all kind of doing our own things. I was in my 20s. Seamus was a bratty, teenager, and then I feel like as I'd say my wedding, I felt like the closest where I could hang with my little brother.
Yeah.
Right.
But there was such
even your 30th, he was cool.
Yeah, like there was such a big, like I used to take my little brother and my little cousin to like Six Flags, and we used to go skiing with it would be my dad, just me and Seamus, and I'm like, oh shit, I was the only sibling that did that because he would like cry.
Seamus fits right in though, because he's like, D'Angelo and Vinny love him.
Yeah.
He's like at that age where like you can kind of go both ways.
Yeah,
and then
adult
plus teenager.
Yeah, and then like when he got to an age where you are all like have similar things, but like how big? There's a ginormous age gap.
Yeah.
Like probably 15 years. Maybe
Yeah,
more
my
than
brother
that?
and I are 15. My sister and I are 13 and a half.
Yeah, well, wait till Cece gets bigger.
Yeah,
and
I was
starts
just saying, wait till
humbling
she
for-
gets to the age where you're like maybe 30 something, and she's kind of like,
Well, Cece's already like going through, because preteen doesn't exist anymore, unfortunately, because of like social media and stuff. So she like sits in her room, plays on her iPad all day. I'll come in there and be like, Cece, like you want to hang out? And she'll be like, Gia, like no, get away from me. Like exactly how I was. But like she's also at that age where like I can sit down, like we can talk, and she'll tell me about her day, and it's like little girl gossip, and it's like, oh, like you're old enough now to gossip with me.
how old is she?
8.
Oh, she's
That's a fun
she's a lot
age.
older than I thought she
know,
was.
yeah.
That's a fun age.
Yeah.
I think 8 is a great age because they're like still babies, but also not.
Right, yeah. But I think also because when I was a kid, like I dreamt of having a sibling. I remember I lied to my first grade teacher, told her I had a little sister, which wasn't true. And I would, every time we had to draw like a family picture, I would include this mysterious little girl that didn't exist.
Oh my god! Fucking psychologist dream right there.
I know. But I think because I dreamt of one so much, and then like mom had a miscarriage before she had Cece, that like now that Cece's here, like it's like my own kid. Like I love them as if they were my children.
Yeah, well, you do a lot for him.
Yeah.
You do a lot for him. Do you ever think about sometimes, like, because mom had the all-American family after our family? It's crazy. Like, my parents get divorced. My mom inherits these two, stepdaughters, and like they had a fucking family.
Dude,
They had money and they did stuff.
Jealous,
Yeah.
As a child, like as a kid, knowing that mom had these two, and like, great, we didn't get along at first because I was mad, I was angry. I'm like, dude, you guys get this nice house, like you get to do like mom and dad stuff.
Yeah,
and
so
I'm
like
like,
when you grow up in a row home in Tacony, and then you see my mom living in Montgomery County,
you didn't even know that side existed.
Yeah,
though.
we're like,
How
what
come
the?
you guys never moved in with her?
We're not gonna go.
That's another podcast.
Yeah, we're not gonna go there. But like, right, like my sister said, like they lived in the fucking suburbs in this big single. We're like, dude, what is going on up here?
But right, like in Tacony, you don't know that exists. Like
No.
Tacony's all you know
That's
when
it.
you're growing up. You know row homes, you know parks, and you know school, and that's it. And then all of a sudden, your mom's in this house, and you're like, wow, this thing got 2 garages? Like, what?
Like a parking spot that we don't have to put cones out for.
Yeah.
You have this huge yard. Like, it's just wild. That and you're, what are you gonna do?
The one thing that has switched for me over the years is like I had to put myself in my mom's shoes to think what it was like living with dad.
Oh, it had to be awful.
Yeah, regardless of if I think what my mom did was right or wrong, she handled it the way she felt that she had to.
Yeah.
And, it took me a long time to understand that, but
Well, there's no instruction manual on how to deal with that and how to what are you gonna do? Because honestly, like I have to give mom credit because mom not having like a career at that point in her life when she decided like I have to leave is a big move to make for a woman, because I feel like a lot of women stay in those kind of they stay in abusive relationships, they stay in relationships where people cheat, they stay in relationships where people are doing drugs because they don't have the financial ability or stability to move and start a new life, and that has to, like, for her to be able to do that, it was a huge move for her. Could you imagine staying in that relationship and just solely staying for the purpose of not being able to do it on your own?
well, what the hardest part for me to process during all that was like, you did have 2 kids though.
Yeah.
You
No,
know what
I
mean?
agree.
Like, I was 17, you were 13 or 14. Like, I probably wasn't going to go anywhere anyway, but it is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, that's...
I can't say anything right now.
Well,
I can't put my thoughts because I just.
Well, listen, it took a long
Yeah.
time for me to look at it in a different way than looking at it through the 12-year-old, 13-year-old eyes. I was looking at it in a 12-year-old lens, and my whole point, my view was completely as a child.
Yeah.
But as an adult, it took me a really long time to get to that point where I get it. I agree? No, but I get it.
Yeah.
And I'm not angry. I'm not
yeah.
upset anymore that I dealt with it how I had to deal with it, and I'm okay with it.
I guess I just think most moms take their kids.
And they do. And I not like I said, that's a wild decision for anyone to make. And what do I agree? No, but I totally understand why. And I think once I got to that point that I was accepting of it is when my relationship with my mom became so much better.
Yeah.
Because she's a good woman. She's not a bad woman. She just made a decision, and that's her. She has to deal with that, and maybe she's accepting of it now. I don't know, but she's my mom, and I love her.
Yeah, and she was there for me.
Yeah,
when I needed her.
yeah. I mean, she's never not been there. I think it was kind of us too, though. Like, not saying it was us as kids, but I think, we held that against her for so long, and it was hard for us to not let that go. And you can't take back what you did. You did what you did, and that was then, and this is now. You can't. You have to have at some point be an adult about it and move on.
Yeah, well, it's like with sobriety, like you can't hold these resentments for life, because a lot of times you're feeling a certain way and nobody even knows that you're feeling that way, and it's only fucking me up. You know what I mean?
Worst feeling too.
You guys are nicer. I'm a rider.
Yeah, even Megan's 35, right? And if her parents were to get divorced today, and even if it was amicable, if one of them had a significant other, as an adult, she still would
1,000%.
hate that person.
I would never be nice to no, for sure. Like I'm being like if my mom dated and had another boyfriend, my mom was happy, living her best life, I'd be happy for her, but I would not be nice to that person she was dating.
Wow.
I know I saw already.
Right.
Just wouldn't let her do it.
Dude, you're like that with my situation. You're like, yeah, fuck that.
And I'd be the same with my dad. I'd be like, who is this bitch?
So funny. I think because I never experienced my parents being together, that any relationship either had, it was whatever.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
It was a non-factor. Like, it didn't matter.
Except, never mind.
Okay.
That's tight.
I was super tight with Jackie, so it took a while for me to accept that they were broken up. But
she was a big part. They were together for a really long time, and you were
so
it was like
little.
my adolescent years. Yeah.
And you essentially grew up with her being in your life.
But don't worry. I'm super close with you.
Oh, yeah.
Don't worry, Meg. It's cool. I got over
How dare you?
That's funny.
But I get what you mean. Like, I get that. Like,
that
if
would
my
be
mom
hard.
and Ed were to ever break up, I would be like, who is this? Like, why are you breaking up with him?
Yeah, it would be. I just.
Or if you guys were to break up, I would not. I think I said that to you when we went to Three Monkeys is in every story.
Yeah.
We went to Three Monkeys when he was in rehab, and you said something like, "This is my last time" or something like that. I was like, if he were to date someone else, like I would not want to be her friend.
Yeah.
Like
I
if
think I
you
remember
guys
saying
broke
that.
up, like I wouldn't want to. I would probably still talk to you and not tell him.
Yeah, keep it secret.
Yeah. That's so funny. It was funny.
Yeah.
I hung out with my friend Laura last night, and she was like, yeah, like, I'm sorry, if they broke up, like, I would have to still get my hair done by Megan. That doesn't offend you.
I'm not cheating on my hairstylist.
That makes sense. Yeah.
So, like, all right, I got a question. So you're this, like, new whack-ass generation. Like, what are you? How does the shit that you and your dad went through affect you as like an adult in relationships with dudes? Like, does that mess with you?
For a long time, I allowed guys to treat me like shit because I thought that was how they were supposed to act. No offense. And I would always like, that's why I've never been in a relationship, because I would always like let shit slide.
Okay.
And then as I got older and as I started to realize that those things were wrong, like I would become like super like distant, and I would be like, oh, like I don't want anyone to like treat me badly.
Yeah, I feel like you're.
And I hate men.
How old are you? 21, right?
Yeah.
So like, I feel like by the time I was 21, like I already had a couple boyfriends at that time.
Yeah.
I didn't.
I mean, like, I
don't want to.
Like, Gia hasn't hit me with any relationship stuff. Like,
I don't want to make this a shit talking my dad session.
He's got a year. He's fine.
I think because of how negative. Oh, it's gonna make me cry. Sorry. Because of how negatively you would talk about like how I looked when I was little. I can't like accept if a guy thinks that I'm pretty, because I feel like it's not true.
It is though. You are very pretty.
This is crazy. I'm sorry.
It's okay. I've cried on you multiple times.
I kind of like run. Like I'll put myself out there and I'll talk to guys. And like I feel like I've said it before to like you or mom. I'm like, if you'll be like, oh, you talking to any boys? Yeah, I'm talking to this one boy. And then if I feel like it ever gets like too real, like I get super scared because I feel like I'll look stupid in the end, so I'll like stop.
But I think, I mean, you have this wild confidence and like
definitely.
you present you present yourself when you walk in a room, like you just walk in a room and you keep your head up and you just you can, and it makes you so much more prettier than you already are.
Yeah.
And I think like eventually you're gonna see that in yourself without a guy telling you that. And when they do tell you that, you'll believe it because you already know it for yourself.
Yeah.
I wish my mom was here because I literally always say the Galatis have this like, I don't even know what it is, like this like just like the confidence. Like I don't look at you and think you're not a confident person. I feel like you walk around like you're confident. Yeah. You walk around like you're confident, and I feel like you're the same way. Yeah. Like we were just talking about this the other day. Like I don't know what it is.
I think it's like a I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, it's like I can't explain it and can't pinpoint
it's
it.
It's like a defense thing.
Like
okay, I like that.
Yeah, like I don't know. We always just say it's a Galati. Me and my mom would just say it's a Galati thing. So you don't come off like that at all. Like you come off very confident. Whether it's fake or what, and that's like a front that you put on, but you do not come off.
Which is
like,
so funny because I've said to your mom before, like, yeah, I get really anxious, and she was like, no, you don't. And
yeah, because
like, I do.
Because you don't come off like you are.
No, and I'm sorry, I didn't mean to get you upset.
Oh my god, no, it's fine. It's just like that's the real reason is that like I have just never. I've said this to you before. I feel like I've articulated this to you before. Because my dad has never made me feel pretty, how can another person make me feel pretty?
And I could get that.
So,
I mean, I think like even for me, like with Nana, with my dad, I think him being the kind of guy he was, I became so much more tolerant of men in general. You know, like not that I let stuff slide because I have a big mouth and I say what the fuck I want. But like I just think that like it just made me I took that characteristic that he had and just kind of let shit go.
Yeah. Also living with Pop. Like,
well, I have to chime in.
Yeah.
Chime away.
It's tough because like my words never would come out the way that I would hope they'd be received. So, and I think I've said this to you a million times, life is hard. And the goal in life is, in my opinion, to do things in your life to make it less hard.
Yeah, right.
And I couldn't convey that to you in a way a dad should to a daughter. It would always come out negative, character assassination, and make you feel worse than you did before we even talked. And it's just something I have to live with. Like I can't, I can't change any of that. And I'm not asking for forgiveness. Just if you can understand that my intentions, and I think my wife, my sister, and my dad would agree, my intentions always were to help, but the words that would come out of my mouth would have the opposite effect. And we would get on these roles where we would agree to do X, Y, and Z. And if the agreement was broken, I was extremely, extremely hard on you. And in the back of my mind, the whole time, I would think like, your life's just going to get harder if you don't listen. And if I could just say what I just said now back then maybe we'd be talking about something different. But, I can't change it. It's just.
But did you listen to everything Dad told you to do?
No.
Right. And
it's so easy to forget the right thing to say or to do.
Yeah.
We never grew up in a household where communication was a big thing.
No.
We heard a lot of arguing, we heard a lot of negativity, oh, I love you and this, but we never had, I don't feel like I ever had like a really loving household ever. I think dad was loving towards me, but not that Mom wasn't, but I just don't think we had communication. We had like the just random hugs for no reason. Like I don't think we had that. And I think
we don't hug in I was just said the other day, we don't hug in our family. It would be weird if my mom gave me a hug.
Dude,
I feel like very weird inside of my mouth.
Listen, Vinny's almost 13 and Vinny will be like, Mom, you want a Vinny hug? And I'm like, fuck
yes, give me a hug.
But like the Goldbergs and shit, like I'm the mom and the Goldbergs. But no, I don't. And maybe, with Jaya, you meant your intentions were pure and they were, but
always good intentions.
It's not like we had great influences.
Well, I mean, battling drugs and alcohol, like things just never come out the way you'd hope, whether you're sober. Like for me, I never had really long-term sobriety. It was always like trying. Yeah. But, and we talked.
You weren't your best self.
No, I was not. And we've talked about, things that happened in the past and how you're going to let them affect you going forward. And, I can only talk about what I do in my own life. My dad dying, the situation with my parents, being a drug addict, ruining my marriage, not being there for my nephews, not being there for my daughter. I can't change any of that. Mm-hmm. And I can't let any of the things that happened to me in my past dictate how my future is going to look. And that's what I just try to preach to you and show you, we're both in school, we're both trying to get cool jobs, we're both trying to be good people. So I can't fix anything that I've done, but hopefully the actions this past year and going forward will show you that what life can look like down the road with maximum effort, with hard work. And, I just couldn't convey that to you like a dad. Yeah. If I'm being honest. And
I don't hate you anymore for it. I used to.
It's intense. I'm sweating over here.
Dude, I remember.
That was intense.
I remember the first time we went to Mexico when I was a freshman. You guys got into that fight, and I told Megan, I hate him.
Yeah.
That was bad.
Like,
I remember
didn't-
that phone call. You called me and you were so
Yeah,
upset.
and I was like, I didn't want to go on this trip. I was my mom told me about the trip before we went. She was like, I want you to act excited. And I was like, oh my God, I don't want to do that at all. And like, I don't feel that way about you anymore, where it's like, oh, I dread seeing my dad. Like, I've forgiven you for the things you have said to me. Especially because of you, like, going to rehab and everything. Like, it put it into perspective for me that, like, you weren't sober. You were just not in your right state of mind, and that's what made you say certain things. Because even, like...
That's very big of you.
Oh, thanks. I appreciate that.
It is.
But I feel like, I carry some traits from you where I can get super angry and, like, say things that are really mean to, like, the people that I love. And, like, I just did it to my mom the other day. And
I'm
like,
really good at it too.
Yeah. Well, peace and love to my mom. I don't apologize for what I did.
Peace and love.
I don't apologize for that, but I wish we weren't arguing. But like, I can do the same thing to the people I love all the time. So it's like, now that I'm an adult and I react the ways that you used to react, that it makes me think like, okay, like, it wasn't intentional, especially because like how I look at my brother and sister as like my kids, that like I can do it to them sometimes where they'll piss me off so bad and I'll say something like too mean, and it's like, it just wasn't intentional. So
Yeah, you do a lot of things
Yeah.
when you're a kid at a certain age versus being an adult, right?
Right,
You're
yeah.
better
Say
than
that.
me because I'd be like, I said what I said.
Well, I've never like degraded them or put them down. I just like yell at them,
They're
like,
eight.
get away from
You
me.
can't.
Yeah. But like certain things, like with my mom, like, yeah, I said what I said. Like, I'm not sorry. But I said,
Not sorry.
we would fight, Megan and me, and she would say to me, like, would you want someone like you to date your daughter?
I remember her saying that in
What's the
Mexico.
response to that?
No.
No.
But to that point, in the moment at the time, I'm thinking like, she'd be lucky to date someone like me. Now I can genuinely say that I think if you found someone similar to me, it would be a good thing, not a bad thing.
Yeah.
And as a dad, I only hope, if you don't believe that now, that you can believe that with me. Just keep acting the way I've been acting the past year.
Yeah.
Because that's a hurtful thing.
I say that about my kids though. Like I really hope that I hope Vinny, I love D'Angelo, but D'Angelo is his own person.
Yeah.
Vinny reminds me of you. And I would love if Vinny grew up and had the traits like you had and the drive like you have.
Yeah,
I think
you've said that to me recently.
Oh
and
man,
it's like-
I do.
Yeah.
All
and,
the
now,
time.
and now it's all true. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's true.
It's not like a fake Anthony. Like this is
yeah.
Anthony.
Well, it's just like, you're drinking, like, it's amazing. This has been such a crazy year, and to finally be awake and see the connections to your family, to your life, to your future. It's like, and to be able to do the things necessary to keep, building and growing as a family, my career with school. It's like, you wake up every morning, and this is probably something like you can relate to in your own world. Like, you wake up every morning and you go to bed every night and you say to yourself, I'm not going to do this certain thing when I wake up. I'm not going to do it tomorrow. And then you wake up and you're like, I'm not going to do it. And then 10 minutes later, you're like, fuck this. The world is coming to an end. The only way it won't is if I do this thing. And that was my life for years and years and years. And like, it got to the point where like, I think I went to my first AA meeting. I'm like late 20s. You know what I mean? I'm 41. You know what I mean? It's like, so it's fucking nuts, man.
I just wake up and choose violence.
So the whole podcast was like the basis of like the day before rehab for me. And like, we all have our own day before experiences. I've had people on here with day before, Kat with cancer, mostly rehab type things, Casey with drinking and eating disorders, Bucky with mental illness. Like, if you had to say what was the biggest day before experience for you, me, not me, your mom, you're not your mom, like in your personal life, what if there was a day before experience for you where you think things were one way then this happened, and now things are another way, what would you say?
I don't know. Because I can't even remember the day before I went to Renfrew. Like I blocked that like whole thing out of my life because I hated it. Like
It's fair.
yeah.
Well, what people might not know, what is the Renfrew?
Oh, I went to the Renfrew Center in Philadelphia. It's an eating disorder treatment center. And I went when I was 16.
When you think about it, that's a big deal. At 16.
Yeah, I had a client yesterday and she was telling me like a drug addict relative she had, and I was like, yeah, like she was talking about like rehabbing the experiences. I was like, yeah, I went to rehab when I was 16 with sort of eating disorder. And it's like so crazy saying it out loud.
Rolls off the tongue like that. Like, no big deal.
I know. I always say I went to rehab when I was 16, and then right after, because I like the shock factor, and then right after I'm like, oh, it's for an eating disorder though. Because I remember one time in high school.
Just as bad as a drug addiction.
Yeah, no, it is.
Way.
Yeah. One time in high school, this kid was like, oh my God, were you on heroin? And I was like,
Maybe.
No. But
I got some in my bag. You want to try some?
but no, I'm like, it was, my experience here was so crazy because like all growing up, my only issue was like binge eating and then like starving myself. And then I go to this place that is targeted more towards like anorexia and bulimia. And like, I learn all these ways to get rid of food. So in my head, I don't have this like idea where it's like, oh, I'm going to fix my eating disorder. I have like, bitch, I'm going to get skinny. I'm going to get skinny after this.
It's over for you.
So like, while I was there, I learned all these different ways on how to like eat what I want and then get rid of food.
Just to add to that, that's a typical experience for someone's first time in drug and alcohol rehab.
Yeah.
They learn all the tricks.
All the tricks.
All the
Yeah,
tricks.
right. Yeah. And like, like, you know,
It's like prison, I guess.
I learned.
Yeah.
Yeah, honestly. And I remember like, I took everything that I learned. And when I first started, they would make us do logs after lunch and dinner on like what were our like urges during the meal. And as it went on, my urges went from 0 to 10. Like it never like stayed. I shouldn't have left when I did. Like I should have stayed longer, in my opinion. But I wanted to get out of there so bad. But I learned all these things, and like as soon as I got out, I was like pretty okay with eating. I ate my 3 meals a day. I was doing really good. And then school started. And then I don't really remember like what happened in my head, but like after lunch I started going to the bathroom and doing what I needed to do with my fingers. Like I would look up tricks on how to do it, how to purge, and I found that you could use a toothbrush. Started doing shit like that in the bathroom. I would run the shower so mommy wouldn't hear me. I'd go in the basement so she wouldn't hear me.
Wow. I didn't know any of that.
Yeah.
That's deep.
Yeah. That was crazy.
Shit.
And what stopped me from doing that was I wanted to be a singer so bad. My teacher, I opened up to my teacher about it, and she was like, you know, like, that'll damage your vocal cords. Mm-hmm. I was like, you're right. I can't do it anymore. And it used to hurt. I hate throwing up. Like, even like when you get a stomach bug and you're sick, I hate it. I like immediately start crying after I threw up. And I remember I would always feel so guilty afterwards. Like I was like, if anyone ever saw this,
Yeah.
like if this is
Drugs
so
are the same.
Yeah.
like
Same
it's
way.
so embarrassing.
Yep. When you do drugs,
I
it's literally
remember
the same.
managing the job at Princeton. I got like all these responsibilities,
Yeah.
and I took something, and X amount of time later made me throw up, and I was trying to get to the porta potty as fast as I could, and I threw up en route to the porta potty, and I'm like, I have all these responsibilities, and I'm like, oh my God, dude, like that just happened, and then I was mad that I threw up because I probably wasted what I took. I'm like, well, I got to take more. So,
Yeah.
Drug addict.
so, but I was like, I'm saying the feelings are very, very similar.
Yeah, right.
You know, that was my point.
Because it's so dehuman. Like, I started to think, like, man, like, if someone were to walk into this bathroom right now, I'm on my knees with my face in the toilet. That's so embarrassing. And, like, I just stopped doing it, like, during high school. It lasted, like, a year, and I just stopped. I don't, yeah. But my issue is just like food is every day. Unfortunately, that's the biggest problem is that it's every day. So, but I guess like my biggest like day before rehab thing is like when you showed me Elena. Like, I feel like that is like something in my head that I weighed myself that day and I like saw the number and I thought to myself, like, that is so crazy. I let it get like that. It just more so was just like when I weighed myself because I had to put in all my stats for the app that she uses and like, it just made me feel like such shit. And I feel like it's so corny. I feel like finding Elena, like, I have never had someone like nutritionally be so helpful. So sweet and like so like there for me. So yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when I called Jaya about Elena, I had thought about it for a handful of days. And I'm
Like Elena from Raid?
Yeah,
Her nutrition
from
thing?
CrossFit.
Okay.
So yeah, Elena's the best athlete at CrossFit Raid. She competes and she does nutrition. And I thought about it for a couple, 2-3 days, and I'm like, you know, our relationship was blossoming. It was growing so well. And I'm like, do I want to bring it up? Do I not want to bring it up? I genuinely thought that this particular person could help. And so I asked her first and told her a little bit about you. And I called Gia and I'm like trying to like pick the words because I didn't want to upset you or like dictate terms.
Yeah.
And she actually was in the process of that day of wanting to find a nutritionist.
Yeah.
When I called, so it was like, oh my God.
I had just asked mommy a week before.
Yeah.
She works with doctors.
Dude, Jay, I hate to break it to you. You're just like us.
Well,
I know.
like what we do, like with CrossFit, and you know as much about it as we do because you've done it. It's like I feel like a person in that world is better equipped to give nutritional advice than some motherfucker who
Just
is
went
not-
to school for it?
Yeah,
I agree.
Like, and plus, you know, I'm not going to divulge Lena's story, but she understands the things that Jay was saying and can articulate it in a way that would be more receptive to a person like you. Just like me and Natalie going to an AA meeting and someone sharing their experience, strength, and hope in a way that we can relate.
Right. Instead of going to counseling and being like, yeah, well, you know, there's a 12-step program. And you're
Yeah.
like, oh,
Yeah.
cool. Thanks.
That's great, though. I mean,
Yeah.
it's the very beginning of the journey for you, just like it is
Yeah.
for me. So
Yeah.
I'm super happy that you even said that about Elena. That's pretty cool. Yeah,
I love that. I didn't
pretty
even
cool.
know that.
Yeah, she's cool shit. I really like her.
Yeah,
she's
she is
great.
pretty cool.
Yeah.
She's great.
She's definitely one of a kind.
I have to text her back. I forgot.
Loser. So what about you?
I don't know.
There's got to be something. Like, I think it would be good if you just talked about what we just went through.
With Barley, I don't want to.
Okay. All right. You don't have to. You don't have to. You don't have to.
Oh, I love you, Meg.
Thanks. Sorry, my voice sounds like this. Yeah.
Dude, that was an experience in itself.
Yeah, it was. It was. Anyway.
Yeah, I can't
I
talk.
didn't know if it was going to help. So,
Bad day.
yeah. Yeah, it's been tough. It's been tough. But what about you?
My day before?
Yeah, not with rehab. We already went in that. I mean, you just said before we start, like kind of as we started, like you never felt so alone before.
Yeah. I can't really pinpoint like the day that I started feeling that way. But I recall sitting in my basement watching TV over the last few months, and it's like I'm doing everything. You know, I working my ass off. I work overtime when I can. I'm trying to be a football mom. I'm trying to be, a mom to a 16-year-old in high school.
Well, you're not trying. You're
I
doing,
mean, I
you're
am.
doing it. You're doing it.
But like I'm cleaning, food shopping, paying a shit ton of fucking bills. And I'm finding it harder and harder to cook and want to clean. But I also stopped taking my Lexapro on purpose. I've been on Lexapro for a year and I stopped taking it. Like I weaned myself off of it these last few weeks. So like my emotions have been at an all-time high. And I stopped taking it because I found myself losing interest in a lot of things. Like I don't want to work out. I just want to sleep. I don't, you know, just in general. And I think maybe that's my day before with the Lexapro, like a couple of weeks ago, maybe like a month and a half ago, just kind of at that point where like, I got to get off of this. I don't want to be on this crutch anymore. Whether or not I need it, I don't know, because I don't go to therapy. But yeah, I think the last couple months, like I'm trying to make some changes for the better for myself.
Like what?
Just trying to be a better human. I fucking hate people. I hate people. I hate peopling. I do it every day for work. So
That's what Meg is.
I don't want to do it in general. You know, like I just don't want to fucking people. I don't want to socialize. I don't want to meet new people. I just don't want to do this shit. I want to fucking sit home. But then I sit home and I'm like, damn, I'm alone. You know, it's like a catch-22. But yeah, I was sitting in my basement a couple months ago and I was watching TV and I just felt like really fucking by myself. And it was right after after I rescued Sally. And I think I rescued her because I felt like I was alone, you know, and Sally needed me and it felt good to be needed. I'm tired. I'm just tired of life lately. I'm tired of people. I'm tired of life. I'm tired of feeling like I'm doing it all by myself.
You've been through a lot.
Yeah. I mean, I know my ex, he has his own demons that he's fighting right now, and he's trying to be a dad and he's trying to, you know, be involved as much as he can. And I'm trying not to be that, like, I'm trying not to be that rock on his shoulder and give him more shit than he needs, because I know he has his own things going on. Like, I'm pretty sure he's struggling a lot worse than I know. And that hurts to watch my kid's dad go through what he's going through. But it's not my problem. I can't make it my problem. And I feel like I've been making it my problem. I'm just tired. I'm so tired of everything. And I'm just trying to find a better way of life and just better myself so I can continue to be the mom that I'm supposed to be. And, you know, I'm just on a struggle bus lately.
Yeah, well,
Looks like we're all struggling.
I'm really on a struggle bus lately. And I'm trying.
You do struggle with a smile, though, for the most part.
It's the only way I know how.
Yeah.
You know, if I'm not smiling, I might be crying. So, but yeah, fucking people suck. My kids are great, and they have no idea. You know, I don't let them know. I just keep doing mom shit, you know. My kid wants to bake cookies at 10 o'clock at night. And I'm like, okay, let's bake cookies at 10 o'clock at night, you know, fuck it. But yeah, I'm just trying to give them the life that they know. You know, I don't want to change things for them. I don't want to, even though sometimes, like, you know, financially I'm like, fuck, I shouldn't do this, but I'll do it anyway, because I just don't want to take away from the life that they've had the last 16 years.
Yeah.
You know, they've had a great life, and I'm trying to keep it that way.
What's funny, like, the legit sober dudes in AA will say, if you want to know how a person's doing, ask their wives or their husbands, or in your case, your kids. And, you know, the fact that they're operating the same way that they've always been or always have is a clear indication that you're doing great.
Thanks.
Right?
Definitely.
Right? Vinny is a happy kid, and, you know, D'Angelo is autistic, and he processes things differently than we'll ever be able to understand. At least that's in my opinion. But they're happy, and they have everything that they need. And
Man, I just got him a Cash App account. I got him a Cash App card, and he's like so happy that he can order stuff. Like, he has this card and has money on it, and I didn't link it to his bank account because I don't want him
to spend all the
I
money.
don't want him to spend all his money, so I'll Cash App him money, like, just for taking out the trash or whatever.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
And yeah,
Big boy stuff.
It's cute.
it's cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're life. I'm lifing. I'm getting through it. You know.
Last time you said that term, I hated it, and I still do. But anyway.
So now I'm just on pure, you know, I wake up every day, no Lexapro, just pure fucking hate and caffeine, and truck through life with a smile.
That's so funny.
Yeah, life is tough.
It is.
Life is tough. I wrote in my journal that I shared with you back in July. I was having a tough time. I was being a dick to my wife. I wanted to drink for a weekend, and I'm chasing and pushing and pressing for this, fictitious job in my head. And, everything I've learned in AA the past year taught me to talk about it. I had an opportunity to fix something that was making me feel the way I did. So I stopped chasing the job, and then the fucking job just came to me. It was like, I had this guy on here, this guy, Matt, and he said to me, and a couple guys, and Sean Dugan said the same thing, like, you'll be amazed, it's just like the promises. Like, it's something we read in AA, it's called the promises, and like the first line is, if you're painstaking about this phase of your development, you'll be amazed before you're halfway through. And it's like,
well, you sit back and you do the things that you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
And then life happens. Yeah. Life happens, and sometimes you just don't like the job. It just comes. And in your case, things always fucking come.
Well, that's what makes me nervous, to be honest with you.
Well, that's how I think I felt that way. I don't know, when dad got sick, there was in that point in my life, things were going great. My life was really good, and I always had that in the back of my mind. If life is going so good, something bad's going to happen. It's just what happens, and sure enough, it did. And Dad died, and then life was going great after that. A short while later, and then something happens, and then fucking life happens, and you just you always wait for that next bad thing to happen. But I think in your case, with your first year of sobriety, you're reaping in those benefits, man. And I remember that first year of sobriety, and I remember just things just happening, and you're like, holy shit, this is fucking life. This is what it's supposed to be, and this is how you're supposed to feel. And what do they say? You're right where you need to be.
Yeah.
You're right where you need to be.
Well, this is the place, this is where I always wanted to be.
Yeah, and you're where you need to be.
And, the week that we had with Barkley a couple weeks ago, all the things that were happening in my life, in addition to that, were fucking so crazy. You're sober, you're a man, you're a father, you're a husband, you're a brother, you're an uncle. And that week, we really didn't even there wasn't a right time for Megan and I to dissect that week on how it was for me. I didn't want to do what we did. I felt instant regret doing what we did. At the same time, I was getting the job offer of a lifetime, and then I had to quit. And then my boss was so fucking angry with me and disgusted in what I did, and it was fucking crazy. And then, what we witnessed with Barkley was fucking traumatic. I was sitting on my ottoman with my mouth open and my head in my hands, and I'm like, "What did we just do?" And I said this before, it's we did the right thing, but it felt the exact opposite. It feels the exact opposite. And
the right thing doesn't always feel right.
No, and Megan and I were laying in bed a couple nights later, and there's no words that's gonna change. There was no way that anything I said was gonna change how she was feeling. But in that moment, I tried to explain to her how relapse is, right? And relapse, for me, and probably a lot of others, is when I relapse, the way I feel after a relapse is the worst pain in life. Imagine this. Imagine wanting more than anything in life to be sober, but not being able to stop, right? And the pain that goes along with that. But prior to a relapse, the moments, the seconds, the days leading into a relapse, all I can think about is how great it's going to feel as soon as I get high. It's going to be the best.
Yeah.
And in my head, I'm like, it's going to suck when I'm done, but I'm just going to power through. All I can think or remember is how fun it's going to be. And, with Barkley, he was so fucking good. He was so good. And then he would do things. And then he would do things that were scary, and we'd forget.
Yeah.
We'd forget. And I know it didn't have any sort of effect on you, but in my head, that's how I needed to process it in my own way.
Please. I mean, it's a loss. You have to grieve, and there's no right way to do it. Everybody has their own way to do it, and you guys have each other to lean back on because only the two of you know what you went through.
Well, Megan's like me. She likes to suffer in silence.
Yeah.
You know?
It's like that. Because you don't want to feel vulnerable.
Yeah.
You know, you're vulnerable as shit when you start talking about it, and then you get emotional, and nobody being able to be vulnerable is a really fucking hard thing to do. Really fucking hard. You know, nobody wants vulnerable. How do you say vulnerability?
Yeah.
Is disgusting.
It's tough.
Yeah.
Putting yourself out there is tough.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was, like my mom kind of said, I want to try not to cry. Like,
Hold on. Someone's at the door.
it's probably just people just knocking for politics.
Dude,
Can this just go away?
soon.
I know.
I have to go to Vinny's game.
Oh, I don't even know why he's even answering the door. It's like people that just knock for.
And I have to skip out. I got to get to Vinny's game. Are you okay with that?
People trying to tell us who to vote for at the door.
You want to know my opinion?
No.
Your opinion doesn't matter.
No. Just finish your thought.
Maybe Barkley was brought to me to like, I don't know, like maybe save more dogs, or who knows what it will be, whether I volunteer, I foster dogs, maybe move and get a dog farm of just unwanted animals. I don't know, but he was special.
He was what you needed at that moment.
Yeah.
And you were what he needed at
Maybe
the
kind of like
moment.
what you said about Sally, and I do think all the cats and dogs that I take in have all come in at like maybe not the best times of my life. I lost Bubba, and 2 months later, someone had mentioned Frankie. You know, Frankie brought me joy. It is what I needed at the time, because same thing, just haven't been to the gym in a month. I don't care. I have no motivation, just burying myself working all the time just to forget what I'm feeling. Like, God bless my clients. I cried to every client. But I don't know. Poppy came when you went away. You know, I found her and you went away, I think maybe 2 weeks later, and Poppy was, you know, the other cat, and who knows? I don't know. I do think, you know, Barkley was brought to me for a reason, whatever that reason was.
And you might not ever know what it is.
Yeah, for him, myself, but he was different.
So were you, Meg. You're one of a kind, I will say. And
I don't mean to cry. I'm sorry, but that was probably the hardest decision I've ever made, being an adult. Bubba was old, and I feel like we had to make this decision, and it was a really hard decision, but I know it was the best decision. But as he's staring, he was the best dog, and I was lucky. I took a week off of work and just gave him the best. So I'm happy I did that.
Yeah.
So
I know you have to go.
yeah, Vinny's game started.
It's fine. You can go. We'll wrap up when you leave.
we all look like a mess right now. Gia cried, you cried, he cried, I cried.
Are you coming to the game?
Yeah, I'll be there.
All right, love you guys.
Love
you.
you.
Peace out day before.
Bye, love you.
I can only think, like, regardless of if you're sober, like, life never stops. And we have talked about doing a podcast with my sister and Gia on the year way before we knew we were going to go through what we just went through, way before I knew I was going to get a new job or quit. So, like, my point is, like, life fucking never stops. And,
Yeah.
you know, regardless of this is a happy day or not, like, life never stops. And what sobriety has taught me is, like, we can get through it.
Yeah.
We can get
Definitely.
through it. You know? That was tough. That was tough. That was tough, man. He was a good boy. And, yeah, you can't. It's like I read this thing every morning. It's called The Green Card. And a part of the green card is yesterday, today, tomorrow. And it's like you can't regret the past nor wish to shut the door on it, right? And as that relates to you and I, it's like, you know, I can't live in regret for not being the best dad, but I can't shut the door on it because I need to know how you feel about how I treated you. And that gives me the opportunity just for today to be a better person, a better dad. And like, you know, I would always say the best part-time dad is still a part-time dad. And that's my life with you. And like, I can't do anything about that. But what the past year has shown me is that if I live right one day at a time, that our relationship will be as good of a father and daughter relationship as it was with me and my dad. I hope. And you kind of alluded to that earlier with wanting to share things with my dad because he was one of your number ones. And now you're allowing me to be that person. And, you know, with you, wife, it's like, I can't regret the past, but I know I was a horrible husband. And I'm lucky to be even sitting in the same room with you. And, you know, so I'm just grateful that all you guys stuck by me. It's been the best year of my life. And I've learned in AA, there's no bad days, but there are fucking certainly hard days. Right? And, you know, I just thank both you guys and obviously my sister. And, you know, today is the 365th day. Right? I went to rehab on this day a year ago and I got sober the next day. So tomorrow will be 1 full year of sobriety. You know?
It's great.
There's a lot of sadness in this room. You know?
I actually feel like super anxious right now.
Yeah. That's why I'm not saying anything. I don't know what to say.
My leg, I hate people that shake their leg. It's like my pet peeve. I'm like, stop shaking. And I haven't been able to stop shaking my leg.
Oh my God, I've been shaking my leg this whole time.
Yeah, it like makes me, like when people do it, Laura does it a lot. She'll just like constantly be moving. I'm like, can you stop moving your leg? It like makes me feel weird when people do it. And I've been like, literally just can't stop doing it.
What?
So funny.
It's been a very intense.
Yeah, I didn't know how this was going to go. The timing wasn't the best, but
Sorry, I think we all got a little bit of stuff out.
yeah, there's always next year. There's always next
You
year.
better be good.
Better be good. Find yourself on the unemployment line. But I'm extremely grateful for this opportunity. I really am. And like my life today is like, when I look back on how I felt the 2 weeks leading up to rehab, it was like, wow, I can't even believe that we're able to do this. I never thought that we'd have a podcast. I never thought that things would happen the way they did. And so thank you.
Yeah.
Right? Thank you. And anything else you want to add?
No, I think I said what I was.
That's for you, Jay.
I think I said what I was anticipating to say.
Yeah. Do you regret doing this, or were you like?
No, I don't regret it at all. Part of me wishes I wasn't so open.
Oh,
I feel like we need to keep some secrets.
That's what makes this. I always say to your dad, that's what makes it good, is because people want to get to the nitty gritty rawness.
Yeah.
And I feel like it shows. You know, it shows a lot.
Yeah.
And I think people listening, or people that do listen, whether they listen or not listen, your story might help someone, and you'd be surprised how many people have gone through what you've gone through. I just think more people are just private about it and aren't so open, but someone might appreciate.
I hope none of my clients find this video.
Oh God! Are you kidding me?
So you know,
all my clients know my husband's an addict. You know what I mean? At this point, I'm like, who even care? I don't really care what anyone thinks. I don't care. Who cares what anyone thinks? Honestly, because no one's life is perfect, and you'd be surprised.
I don't want that girl giving me a facial. She sticks her fingers in her throat.
well.
Hey, she might have stuck her hand down her throat at some point too. So we've all been there.
That's so funny.
Well, when with this, I had therapy on Thursday, and my therapist was like, he asked me about the podcast and like, how would you feel if your new employer found out about your podcast?
I mean, I always think that.
And my gut thought and my thought today is, if they saw this podcast and they decided that they wanted to let me go or thought that they made a bad decision, then I know that's not the place I should be.
Yeah.
Because if anything, this year has taught me is, we started this thing to track our journey over the last year, and I think I've done and I'm doing everything in my power to do what it takes to stay sober for one day at a time. And,
I think that's why I always say, like, you're where you work now. You should be,
I'm extremely grateful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because some people, that would be a deterrent for,
Well, that's a story for another day, but I'm extremely grateful. And when I talk to my therapist, and this is for you, when I talk to my therapist about the new job and what that was going to look like for my future, he told me, you got to know your value in life and you got to know your worth. And you can never not realize how much you have to offer to life, to your employer, basically because I'm very hard on myself. I have a ton of self-doubt, insecurities, imposter syndrome. That's what we talk about, imposter syndrome. Who could I possibly think I am? Thinking I could, one, help someone in Alcoholics Anonymous, two, be a good employee. I just have a lot of self-doubt. And he said to me, look at the facts. Look at the facts. Look at what you've done this past year. And sometimes you need an outsider to tell you these things because, for you, I don't even realize it. I'm still a flawed human being. I was not.
Who isn't flawed?
Yeah.
We're all flawed, just in different ways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But know your value, know your worth, right? And look at the facts. The fact is, if I pick up a drink or a drug, I'm not a good dad. I'm not a good husband. And the facts are, if I don't, one day at a time, that life is so much better. And my indirect effect on you and your relationships and you, it's so much better. And we're in a difficult time right now in life with a lot of different things, and that's the beauty of it all. If today doesn't work out, we have tomorrow to make it better.
Yeah.
And that's how I live my life. So I love you.
Love you.
I love you.
Love you too.
And that's it.
What's on your hand?
Blisters.
I guess I want to end it this way.
Love you, bro.
Yeah.
We love you, Dad.
I love all of you.
We love you, Dad.
I love you too.
Wow, that was nice.
And I tell you what,